Hello there. Now, I wanted to put a video out, mainly because I've been inspired by the members on the Anxiety United website that have put videos on basic introductions into themselves and their own mental health experiences, basically. And there's a lot of videos on the website already and on the YouTube account of my old exposure therapy, but there's nothing actually that says who I am and why am I here. So that's why this is called Who Am I and What Am I Doing Here? So basically, I am Billy. I'm 34 years old, married, 2 children, live in the Midlands. That's who I am. I work for myself, have done for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or whatever, and it's slowly starting to flourish, I guess, the business is, so takes up a lot of my time and gives me a lot of stress. That's who I am. What am I doing here? Well, basically, for the last 10 years, I think it may just be over 10 years, I've had battles with my own mental health, panic attacks, agoraphobia, health anxiety, a generalised sort of anxiety, pretty much bloody constantly, and parts of social anxiety as well, but I just see it all as one big friggin' anxiety, that's the battle that I'm in. But I have made a lot of progress during the last 10 years. I can recall times, and I still have the memories, and I can still feel the feelings that I used to get all that time ago when it all pretty much started. Started for me just out of the blue, panic attack. Didn't know anything about mental health, nothing. I was pretty much ignorant to it, I guess, because it had never affected me. I never really knew anybody that it had affected. But believe me now, like if I mention it to somebody, if I meet somebody new or whatever and mention that I suffer with panic attacks or whatever, 9 times out of 10 they know either what it feels like or they know somebody who is currently going through that. So it's mad how many people actually, now that I talk about it, how many people out there are aware of it and they have felt the feelings as well. So, like going back, I can remember times, example, like walking in a supermarket and you've already got that underlying anxiety from the moment that you've perhaps got in the car to actually go to the friggin' supermarket. There's that automatic, the thoughts, the negatives and the worry, the anticipation, and then you'd get to the supermarket. This is just for me, obviously. You may be able to relate, you may not. I will get back to what I'm doing here in a minute. So, supermarket, you'd walk through the doors, you'd feel the anxiety building, the nervous tension, which would then bring on the symptoms, the physical symptoms, and then you'd get the adrenaline because you're worrying about those. So pretty much for me it was kind of a tension and anticipation, and then the adrenaline, which brings on more physical symptoms. And it was usually the wobbly legs, you'd walk around, and I would be usually alright if we were moving, but as soon as we'd stop, I don't know, it was like I was standing on a boat or whatever, and I'd just feel like I was swaying, or my legs would feel like they're sort of giving way or whatever. Then the breathing thing would start, where you just feel like you're not getting enough air. Shallow breathing. Rarely did I get like the banging heartbeat, but I would if it escalated further into a panic. Then, I'd usually bail out of there. This is going back then, I would make way for the exit. One thing that used to really stick in my mind, like if we was in the supermarket, I weren't too bad at the first few aisles or whatever, but if we got towards the far end of the supermarket, that's when it would be at its peak sort of thing, because I know that the exit's as far as it can possibly be. And there's been times where that walk from the furthest point of the supermarket to the exit, that is horrendous, or it has been. You feel like you're not going to make it. I don't know whether I hold my breath while I'm doing it or whatever, but it's like everything's getting darker and more intense, and you're focusing on just the exit. and that is a horrible, horrible feeling. But there is an alternative to doing that. And again, recently, because I still suffer with anxiety and I still worry about going out the house and doing things, I still have that sort of the anxiety and the build up of the tension and stuff, and you know, we don't do a lot as a family. We don't do a lot, and when we do, it's usually determined by whether I can allow myself to do it or whatever it is. I don't know, but it still has a hold of me pretty much. But the difference being is that I have experienced what it's like to go through it. And it wasn't even that long ago. The freshest memory that I have of it was, again, in a supermarket, and I hate bloody supermarkets at the best of times, but, you know, I had to go there with my dad and my daughter. We had to get something, and there is a video of this on the website as well, or in the YouTube bloody back catalogue, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, those feelings came back, and we went up the escalator to the second floor, and I had to get something with my daughter, and I had a full-blown panic up there. But I rode it out, and I stuck with it, and I was getting all those feelings, and blurred vision, and dizziness, and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. But I just sort of, rather than walk to the exit, I just sort of walked around in a little circle around the aisle. I don't mean like that. People would have, I don't know, they'd have thought I'd gone. But I hadn't. I was in control, man, and I knew that I was in control, and I knew that it would pass. So I rode it out, and I felt bloody brilliant after it, if I'm honest. So back to why I'm here. Basically, I'm here because I've been through the system 3 or 4 times. I've sought private therapy. I've done, as far as I can see, everything that's on offer. And I really wanted to sort of try and build something that was for people, for real people that suffer, that have maybe been through the system and didn't get what they needed from it, or, you know, they've been to other organisations and whatever, and just something, I don't know, because we can all take this information in that they can provide, and we can all phone helplines, and we can all do that, and yes, it may help us out of that situation right there and then, but I just feel like, me personally, I always go back to the same frigging point, and I forget all the stuff that I've learned, and sometimes I find it a lot better, or a lot easier for me to sort of get a grasp of things when I talk to somebody else that knows how I'm feeling. I don't mean we can sit there and mope and take each other down on a negative bloody path. That's not the idea. The idea is, you know, maybe if I can speak to somebody and help, I don't know, whether they can inspire me to do something else, because that's what's happened here. That's why I'm making this video. I felt inspired to get the camera out and do a video. It's been that long, you know, and I've made so much progress when I look back. Although, you know, when things take a turn for the worse, if I have a setback or whatever you want to call it, at the time when it first happens, I do feel like I'm back to square one, but when I actually sit and think about it for 5-10 minutes, I can see that I'm so far from where I was, and that is pretty much down to the community that I used to be involved in, you know, and that was why Anxiety United was put together, was to try and give people a platform that they can talk to other people and relate, because although, you know, trying to erase the stigma that's attached to mental health, it's a big job, and it ain't gonna happen overnight, man. And people still, you know, and it's so freaking difficult for other people to understand what it's like, and that's why there is, I guess, a stigma. It's because they don't know what it feels like, and can you really blame them for not knowing? Because before I experienced it, I weren't, you know, I'm not saying that I would associate mental health with people in friggin' straitjackets and whatnot. I just didn't know enough about it, so that I didn't really have a negative effect of people with mental health. It's just that I didn't have an opinion on it, because I didn't need to, I guess. I don't know whether that was the right thing or not. I was only like 23 before it all started, 24, so I don't know, I was just living life, I guess. and maybe we do take things for granted before it happens. I don't know. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to try and give people a platform to share their stuff, you know, to try and create resources for people. But these are resources based on real life experience, this isn't a team of professionals that have sat and studied books and I don't know, case studies and all that. This is real. This is friggin' real. I know what it feels like because I go through it pretty much every day. I have anxiety. I would say 99.9% of the days of the year I suffer with anxiety. Whether it's an anxiety about just getting up and moving out of my chair or leaving the house to go to the shop or whatever it is. I can't believe I swore, man. 11 minutes in, first real swear word. Damn. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's not all about bloody glamorous events and glamorous people driving around in posh cars and, I don't know, raising awareness is brilliant and I agree with that, but I don't know, there's a lot of shit going on. Oh my God. There's a lot of stuff going on at the moment about mental health being portrayed on TV and dramas and soaps and stuff like that, and I think that's great. And I was on the radio, on local radio, last week, I think it was, talking about it, but the thing that really gets me is like 2 months down the line when the storyline changes for that character, if it's a soap, their mental health condition is gone. Or whatever. I don't know, they're just able to deal with it. You never see the therapy that they receive, you never see what meds they're on, if they're on any, and it just sort of fades into the background and they get on with stuff. But that's not real life, you know. In my opinion, that's not real life. Because I've had it for 10 years. And if I was in a soap, the 10 years would probably be filming me sat in my house, working, freaking out now and again, and not really doing a lot. I don't know, that's my perception of things. The things that I think need to change personally is access to treatments, man. There's so many charities out there, mental health charities, raising so much money. You would hope and think that there are places for people to turn, and there are. It's just, I don't know, something doesn't work somewhere along the line, man, because Anxiety United's been live for a year, almost, and we've got 1,500 members, and 14,000 Twitter followers, which is beyond what I ever expected. But if there was enough access to treatments, then, you know, in that year, we shouldn't have 1,500 members, in my opinion. And that's 1,500 people who I assume have not been treated via the current treatments that are available. I don't know whether it's because they can't afford private therapies or whatever, or because they're waiting on waiting lists that are too long, or because the treatments that are out there just haven't worked for them. There are alternatives, but I don't know, it's a difficult thing, and for me personally, I've been through the system, like I say, several times, and it's never worked for me, and there's no alternative. The only alternative that I ever found was me sort of coming up with my own plan and my own steps to move forward, and that's the thing that's got me, you know, it got me out of the depths and darkness that I was in when I was agoraphobic, housebound, pretty much room-bound for a time. You know, there was things that I had to do off my own back. Obviously, I know, and everybody else does, we know that you have got to do the hard work yourself. I suppose the key behind Anxiety United is to try and find inspiration, motivation, share experiences. But you guys already friggin' know that. That's what I'm doing here. I'm basically giving a place for people to turn that maybe haven't benefited from the treatments that are on offer. Maybe they haven't found them yet, maybe they haven't even tried to access them yet, and hopefully the website or the members on there can encourage them to to get in touch with their GP, to push for more treatments, to get in hold of their local charity that's raising money and developing new resources or whatever they're doing. You know, take advantage of the things that are on offer, because there might be something out there that works for you. So definitely get out there and get your hands on whatever you can. That would be a good thing. But then there is the flip side, and erase all of what I've just said, because for me personally, when I used to spend so much time trying to recover by learning new stuff, that was when it was pretty much at its worst. And the time that I actually progressed the most was when I just settled on a path and did whatever I had to do to achieve it. Starting with little trips out here and there, you know, with a person, with my wife or whatever it was, and then on to walking to the local shop on my own. You know, this, I'm talking when I was housebound. They were the first steps that I took. And you can always put this plan or this self-care plan into action. Start off small and gradually make it into something that at the time when you write that plan, you won't believe that you'll ever get there. But believe me, you will. I remember when I first did mine, my steps, I'd made a list of 5 steps when I was housebound of the things that I wanted to do, and like number 5 was, I can't even remember what it was, probably, I don't know, I can't even remember, I'd be lying if I said I knew. But I remember that number 1 was just to walk to the local post box, which was only about 200, 300 yards away, something like that. And even writing that down was enough to make me feel anxious. And then number 2 was like walking to the local shop, which was, I don't know, half a mile away, whatever, on my own. And when I was writing those things, it was like, I can't imagine how I'm going to do it. But one day I just thought, this is it. So I did it. And I worked on number 1 repeatedly until I got so comfortable with it that it just didn't scare me anymore. And then just moved on to the next one. And that's how I made the steps. I don't know, I was motivated to do it because I had other people around me that knew what I was trying to achieve, and I had their backup sort of thing. You know, they helped me, they pushed me along. When I had a wobbly day, I was reminded at how far I had come. That's what Anxiety United's about. That's what I'm doing here. I'm here to remind you that you have made progress. You will continue to keep moving forward. See you in a bit.